Hi, in this video I'm going to be talking about basic posture and sitting position, what I like to call a ready position. This is something you all need to be very aware of, especially if you're just starting out, because oftentimes if you're not sitting and holding the guitar in an effective way, then there's going to be a really low ceiling on the things that you'll be able to accomplish. So I highly recommend, if you haven't ever thought about how you sit and hold the guitar, to at least take into consideration the things that I'm going to be talking about. Right now I'm sitting in what we call the classical sitting position. If you ever see classical or some flamenco guitarists often sit in this position, but it's by no means limited to classical guitar. Some electric guitarists sit in this position, especially electric guitarists who play Gibson Flying V's, you know, those V-shaped guitars. They have to sit like this because otherwise the guitar would slide right off their legs. So highly recommend sitting like this. If you can see, I've got the guitar rested on my left knee, and I've got my leg elevated with one of these little footstools that you can pick up at any guitar store for around 20 bucks. But you don't need to use one of these. Really, anything that elevates your leg is just fine. A couple of phone books that you duct tape together work just fine. I had one student who used a partially deflated soccer ball, which I thought was pretty clever and worked pretty well for him. So if you're going to sit this way, and even if you sit with the guitar on your other knee, I highly recommend you have something to elevate your leg so that the guitar can be nice and elevated and close to your body, and you can reach it and access the strings really easily. You want to sit in a chair that's, you know, just a standard folding chair, or you know, basically a chair that's not too high, not too low, but you know, allows your leg to be more or less parallel with the floor when you're sitting down. And preferably a chair that doesn't have any arms on the side of it, so that your elbows aren't inhibited in any way. And you can, again, it's all about freedom and accessibility. You want to be able to go anywhere on the guitar at any time with nothing in your way. Pretty common sense stuff, but definitely important. So if you're sitting in the classical sitting position, there's a lot of benefits that happen automatically. The first, most important one is that you have 4 points on your body that are bracing and supporting the guitar. You have your left leg, your right leg, your chest, and your right arm when you put it over the guitar. So the guitar is locked in place. It can't go anywhere. The neck is always going to point upward, and it's always going to be close to your body. This is also very important, because if it's not pointed upward or close to your body, it's very difficult to reach, and again, there's going to be limits to what you're going to be able to accomplish. Now, this sitting position is admittedly much easier with nylon string, or what's known as a classical guitar, because they're very hourglass shaped. Steel string or dreadnought guitars typically are cinched more up here, so that they're almost designed to really sit on your right leg, and the bouts are much fatter, so they don't sit as easily between your legs as a nylon string guitar. So, but there are a lot of steel string guitars that you still can use the classical sitting position with, and if possible, I highly recommend it. If not possible, well, then we'll talk about the right leg sitting position here in a little while. So anyway, with the guitar in place, your right elbow, I'm going to kind of move over here so you can see, your right elbow shouldn't be down here. You shouldn't be hugging the guitar, but you should just be lightly placing it like this, right on top. You don't want to be like this or like that, but just nice and easy. Just take your arm, drape it over, and let it fall right here, so that your hand is resting more or less in this position. You know, maybe over the sound hole a little bit. That's fine, depending on how big the guitar is and how long your arms are. That's all well and good, but you know, not way down here, not over the soundboard or the fretboard, if you can avoid it. Now, if you have to sit with the guitar on your right leg, that's fine. But again, it's all about accessibility and making things easy for yourself. If you're sitting this way, the guitar is not braced anymore. It can go anywhere, and I see this happen all the time, where people will be playing and all of a sudden they're down here and the neck is pointed toward the floor, and they can't, and their hand is really bent at an extreme angle, and it's very awkward and difficult. So if you're sitting on the with the guitar on your right leg, which I do all the time, most of the guitarists I know sit like this a lot, it's comfortable, then you know, again, you have to be really aware of where the guitar neck is, and if it's not where it's supposed to be, then it's up to you to to fix that and maintain it. Footstool is still a good idea. Some people like to cross one leg over the other and sit like this. Whatever works, as long as, again, the guitar is up high, close to your body, and you can reach it. Now, we talked a little bit about the right hand and where it should be positioned. The left hand should look like this when you play. I'm going to take the phone here and let you see what's going on here. If you see, my fingers are all lined up on adjacent frets. I'm on the first string. It doesn't matter what 4 frets you're on. Just take any 4 frets that are right next to each other and try to do what I'm doing right here. I'll let you see from this angle too. You can see that I'm on the tips of my fingers, and I'm all lined up, and my fingers are close to the frets. They're not down here, but way up here, and that's what you want your fingers to look like. My thumb is behind the neck. It's not up here, it's back here, and there's really nothing touching the guitar except the tips of my fingers and the pad of my thumb. Now, if you don't have a guitar handy, you can still work on this left hand position by taking a pencil and doing this. You see what I'm doing here? See where my thumb is? See where my fingers are? Again, nothing's touching except the fingers and the thumb. My palm is completely free. My fingers are curved and arched. So if you can walk around and hold a pencil like this, people might wonder what you're doing, but you can just tell them, hey, I'm getting my left hand acclimated to guitar technique. Look at my thumb too. Notice how I'm not doing this. I'm doing that. I'm hyperextending my thumb. That's really important. It gives you a lot of support, and you're not putting a lot of pressure on that tip of your thumb. So anyway, just a few things to consider when you're sitting and holding the guitar. If you're standing with the guitar with a strap, basically it's the same as if you were sitting with it. Like for instance, if I'm sitting in the classical sitting position, the guitar comes to right about here, right? Well, if I were to stand with the guitar, I should adjust the strap so that the guitar is still sitting right here. A lot of times you see these rock and rollers and the guitar is like way down by their knees and all that. It looks cool, but again, it makes you have to bend your wrist at a real extreme angle, and there's definitely a lot of music you can play where you can get away with that, but there's also a lot of things that will be difficult and more not as easily done on the guitar if you hold it like that. So, anyway, just be thinking about it, and bottom line is always be aware of what you're doing and ask yourself, is there anything I could be doing that would make this easier? And that's it.